I think this is my favorite part out of the whole process just because my bottom lashes are long and it makes my eyes look very dramatic. Hey y'all, so today I did a makeup tutorial on this look. It's super light, super simple, and super easy. The reason I wanted to do this look for my very first makeup tutorial is because it's an everyday look that everybody can wear. The main reason I wanted to do a simple look for my first video is because I kind of wanted y'all to get used to or familiar with how I put on my makeup and the process that I use. So I just thought if I do something simple, then it'll be easy for everybody. But this is the look. This is how it turned out. I think it's really pretty. So if y'all want to see how I got this look, y'all know what to do. Okay, so I'm going to start with my face today. Usually I would start with my eyebrows, but since I'm doing something really simple, there's not going to be a lot of fallout. I'm just going to start with my face. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set my face with this Project Beauty Spray Set Go setting spray. I know it's a setting spray, but I'm going to use it first so that everything that I put on my face afterwards will adhere better. It'll also create a barrier between my face and the makeup, as well as the primer that we're going to use next. So I'm going to go ahead and shake it up, and then I'm going to spray my face. And I'm just going to kind of air dry that for a minute. While that's drying, I'm going to show you guys my primer. I'm going to use the Laura Geller Spackle Hydrating Moisturizing Under Makeup Primer. So the reason I like this, it's very moisturizing. I think it's really good for all skin types. I am oily in my T-zone and then kind of dry on the outer areas of my face. So I have combo skin, but this works really well for me. I think it makes my makeup look really pretty and flawless. I think it makes my makeup last all day long. So this is one of my go-to. This is the one that I recommend to people when they ask me, like, what's your favorite primer? This is the one that I tell them about. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little bit on the tips of my fingers, probably about that much, and I'm going to warm it up between my fingertips, and then I'm going to tap it on. By doing this, you're using less product and it's going a lot further. Next is going to be my foundation, and I'm going to mix two different types of foundations today. This is the Milani Conceal and Perfect in the shade 02. It's really going to feel a little heavy on the skin, but I like it because it stays in place all day. It's full coverage, and this is just, it looks really, really pretty on my skin. And then the next one I'm going to go in with is the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte in 103. I like this one because it does stay on my face all day long. These two mixed together, y'all, it stays on all day long, no matter if it's raining, if I'm sweating, no matter what, this foundation stays on. So I'm going to mix these two on the back of my hand to kind of get my perfect shade. Okay, so now that I have these two mixed together, I'm just going to take my dampened Real Technique sponge and I'm going to tap that all over my face. I like to start at the bottom and then work my way to the top. And I'm just tapping it into the skin. I'm not dragging it. As y'all can tell, I'm just tapping it because I don't want to move the foundation too much. You want to take it up into your hairline too, because you don't want to have a separation of where there's no makeup and then your skin. You don't want it to look like, you know, you're making it obvious that you have makeup on. So the main thing with makeup is you just got to take your time and blend it out so you can get that really flawless look. We're going to go in with concealer, and the concealer that I'm using is the Maybelline concealer. It's the Maybelline Fit Me, and I have two different colors here. This one's in 15 and this one is in 5. This one's really light. I think I'm going to mix the two just so I can get better coverage and not such a crazy like white color. So now I'm going to go in with the number 15 under my eyes. And we want to do this just to highlight and brighten up certain areas of our face. So I just put 3 little lines, and now I'm going to go in between with the number 5. With my small Real Techniques blending sponge, I'm just going to go underneath and blend that out. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set my under eye and my nose with powder. Like I said, I get oily in my T-zone, so I usually set my nose the same way that I do my eyes. So I'm going to use the Rimmel London Stay Matte Translucent Powder. This is in 001. And I'm just going to take my sponge and dip it right into the powder. And I'm just going to kind of scrape it so the way I have powder on my sponge. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to set under my eyes. So we just want to avoid creasing. We're just gonna leave that on for a few minutes. Just kind of let the powder do its thing. Then I'm also gonna do my nose because I get really oily on my nose, especially in the corners of my nose. So we're just gonna let the powder do its thing. I like using a sponge rather than a brush when I'm like baking my under eyes or setting my under eyes and my nose, because I feel like you can pack the powder in a little bit more than you can with a brush, where a brush is just kind of sweep it off your face, where with the sponge you're gonna pack it in. So now that we let that sit, I'm gonna take my Morphe E41 brush. It is a dome shaped brush. It's very dense, so it's gonna pack on that powder really good. I'm gonna be using the MAC Studio Fix powder in the shade NW25. So we're just gonna dip our brush right into the powder. Kind of pounce it on the face. We don't want to sweep it just yet. We wanna pack it on so that powder's really getting onto the face and setting that foundation. So now we're gonna contour and bronze our face. This is to give our face some dimension and some depth. As you can see, I have kind of a little bit of a chunkier face and my cheeks are really big. So I need some definition in my cheek area and then under my chin and kind of around my forehead to slim it out just a little bit. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna go in with this Japanesque brush. I'm not really sure what this one is called. I've had this for forever. And then I'm gonna go in with my e.l.f. Forever Sunkissed bronzer, and I'm gonna lightly tap it because this stuff is really pigmented, if I could get it open. Okay, so now I'm just gonna lightly tap it and kind of dust it off, and then I'm gonna run that right on my cheekbone, right where it meets the top of my ear. I'm gonna do that really light because we're gonna go over it with another bronzer. So right now, we're just kind of carving out the areas of my face. Okay, so now that we've kind of laid it out a little bit for our next bronzer, I'm gonna go in with the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzer, and this is in medium deep. And I'm gonna take this on my Sonia Kashuk powder brush, and this is number 1. So now I'm just gonna kind of run that through, dust it off, and then take that in those same spots that we went with the e.l.f. bronzer. The blush I'm gonna be using is the Tarte Amazonian Clay 12-Hour blush, and this is in Feisty. I'm going to take that on my Real Techniques blush brush. It is a tapered brush, so when you're applying it, you're only going to get the very top of it. So I'm just going to take that, dip it into my blush, and when I do this, I like to smile. So I hit the apples and the tops of my cheeks, where you're naturally going to blush. Okay, so now that we have our blush on, I'm gonna jump into setting my face. I'm gonna go back in with the Project Beauty Spray Set Go. And I'm just gonna set my face before we move on to eyeshadow or anything, because I wanna make sure all those powders that I just put on set into the skin and they stay in place. Okay, so now I'm gonna move straight into my brows. Brows are the longest part for me because, as you can see, they are not sisters and they are not twins. So I gotta kind of work with them. My favorite product for my brows at the moment is the Maybelline Tattoo Studio Brow Gel. And it comes like this. I don't use the brush that it comes with, guys, because that would be a disaster. So it comes like this with this little doe foot kind of applicator. I don't use that. What I use is this Japanesque 340 brush. It's an eyeliner brush, but it's super, super skinny. I feel like it really gets in there, makes really crisp and sharp lines. That way it's not too thick and it's not too crazy. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it directly off of my hand and I'm gonna kind of brush it back and forth just so that I make sure I get enough product but not too much. And then we're gonna start on the top of my brow. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take it from the front and we're just gonna kind of lightly get as close as you can to your natural brow line. We wanna make this look crisp and clean, but we also wanna make it look like it's not crazy, a little more natural. So I'm just gonna run that on the top of my brow, go with my natural arch, and then follow it down. So then we're gonna go to the bottom of the brow and we're gonna start kind of halfway at the front and we're gonna drag it back. So we're still following that natural hairline and we're just gonna take it down and meet the other line that we made. And now you have a brow. And then as you can see, I have some sparse areas in there. So now I'm just gonna kind of go in and almost like a feather motion, I'm just gonna kind of place and drag. So now you can see the difference between this brow and this brow. So now we're gonna work on the front of the brow. The front of the brow is always the hardest part for me. What you wanna do is you wanna kind of take it and flick it up because we wanna make hair strokes, we don't wanna make a box. So you're gonna start kind of at the bottom here and you're gonna flick it up. And it's okay to make mistakes, guys, because you can always clean it up. So now the brow is done. I'm gonna fill in a couple more spots on this side. I'm gonna finish this one and I'll be right back. Okay, so now that we have our brows on, the next step is to clean them up. You could leave them this way if you want to. It's personal preference. Usually I just clean them up just to give them a little bit of a crisper look. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in with the concealer that we used earlier, the Maybelline Fit Me in number 15. Same thing, I'm gonna put it on the back of my hand. Then I'm going to take this Luxie Beauty brush, the 221 flat definer brush, and I'm just going to take that just to get really in there, really close to the brow and clean it. I'm going to go back in with my Real Technique sponge and I'm just going to get as close as I can. And I'm just gonna blend it out. Now we're gonna set our brows, and my favorite product for setting my brows is the NYX Control Freak Brow Gel. This stuff is like hairspray for your brows. I tried other brow gels, but honestly, you guys, for the price and for the way that it works, I haven't found anything quite comparable to this. This is my favorite. So I'm gonna take it and I'm just gonna kind of run it along the sides because it is very liquidy and a little goes a long way. So I'm just gonna run them through. Not kidding you guys, this stuff makes my brows stay on all day long. So now we're gonna jump into the eyeshadow. I picked something super simple today, really basic, natural colors that pretty much everybody can wear. So since I already have foundation and powder on top of my eyes, I'm gonna go ahead and just run it over with that brush again. Normally, I would go in with a skin toned color eyeshadow just to kind of set after the concealer so you don't see the veins. And if you set your eyes or use an eye primer before putting on eyeshadow, you're really going to allow the pigment of the color to show up more. It's going to be brighter, more vibrant, and it's going to stay on a lot longer than it would without anything underneath. So that's why it's good to always set your eyes. Now I'm going to go in with the eyeshadow. This is a very basic kind of mauve brown color. I use this a lot. As y'all can tell, this is my go-to color. Sometimes I will only wear this. and it's called Deep Skin, and I believe this is from Morphe. I'm just going to take that on my Real Techniques brush. This is called the Multitask Eye Brush. It's very fluffy, kind of that dome shape. It's going to get a lot of coverage, and it's a good blending brush. So that's what we're going to start with. I'm just going to dab into it, and then I'm going to tap off the excess. So then I'm going to start in the middle, kind of where my eye creases is where I'm going to start. And I'm just going to lightly run that through. That is going to be our first transition color. So I'm going to lightly run that through. And the motions I'm doing are windshield wiper motions, back and forth, back and forth. And then I will stop on the edge and the inner corner every now and then and kind of focus it there. Like I said before, blending is your friend, y'all. That is how you get that smooth look. And then just keep blending until it all looks smooth and clean. The next shade I'm going to go into is this Luna eyeshadow in the shade Jace. It's kind of the same color that we just used, maybe a little bit lighter. And I'm going to take this on a Coastal Scents brush. This is BR250. It's kind of the same brush that we're using now, but it's a little bit flatter than the other one. I'm going to take that, same thing, dip into it, tap off the excess, and then I'm going to take it sideways, kind of straight up and down, and I'm going to run that in that crease. I'm going to focus that more on the outer corner than the inner corner. We want to build the color up on the outside and leave it a little bit lighter on the inside. And then when we're ready, I can just blend it out with a brush that doesn't have any product on it, and it'll look a lot smoother. Right now, you just kind of want to pack on that color. So I'm going to take that same brush we used the first time, and I'm going to clean it off. And now I'm going to use it with zero product on it. So this is strictly going to be my blending brush. I'm not going to put any other color back onto this. And now we're just going to blend it out. So now that I have blended it out to my liking, I'm going to take a little bit of a darker shade, and this is from Coastal Scents. This is Kokomo Cafe, and I'm going to use this Real Techniques base shadow brush to apply it. So same thing, tap it in, tap it off. And then we're going to take that and we're going to focus it in that outer corner, because we want this outer corner to get really dark. And then we're going to go in and we're going to blend it out with that brush that had no product on it. And you want to kind of do circular motions when you're blending this. You want to keep it on the outer corner. We don't want to move it into the inner corner or into the center. So we just want to focus it on the outer corner here. So now we're going to dip back into it and we're going to darken it up just a little bit more. Now that I've darkened it up more, I'm going to go back in and I'm just going to blend it out. Now that it looks good and we have it all blended out, you could always add a shimmer or a glitter on the lid. But since we're doing something super basic, I'm not going to put anything. I'm just going to leave it as is. So I'm going to go do this eye and I'll be right back. Now that we have our eyeshadow on, we can jump into mascara. I am going to curl my lashes a little bit before I put mascara on, just because mine are so straight. So I'm going to take my lash curler and I'm just going to curl my lashes. Now that my lashes are curled a little bit, I'm going to hit them with some mascara. I really love the wand on this. So I'm just going to lightly run the mascara over my lashes because we are going to be putting on falsies. So you could go ahead and leave it just like this with mascara, but I prefer falsies, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put some on. I'm going to use the Kiss brand Pompadour lashes. These are my absolute favorite lashes, and they come in a 5-pack. So I'm going to put these on, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now I have my lashes on. I'm going to run some mascara through them just to adhere my lashes to the falsies. So I'm going to take that same Smashbox mascara, and I'm just going to run them underneath. Now moving on to my bottom lashes, I'm going to put eyeshadow down first because I want to give some contrast underneath my eyes as well as I did on top. I'm going to use the same colors under my eyes as I did on my eyelids. I'm going to go in with that first shade that we used. And I'm going to take this medium shadow brush. We're going to run it right near that lash line. We want to get as close as possible as we can. We want to give some dimension and some depth underneath our eyes. Now that we have our first eyeshadow under the eyes, we're going to go in with that second shade, Luna, in the color Jace. We're just going to dip in, tap off. We just want to darken it up. Lastly, we're going to hit it with that Kokomo Cafe color. Same thing, dip in, tap off. Now that we put eyeshadow on our under eyes, I'm going to use eyeliner. The one I'm going to use is the ColourPop Cream Gel Liner in Mr. Bing. I really love these because they really go in the waterline with a lot of pigment, and I feel like even though my eyes start to run or get watery, it won't come off. So we just want to run that right in that waterline. Now that we have eyeliner on, I'm going to run some mascara over my bottom lashes. This is the Makeup Forever Excessive Lash. I think this is my favorite part out of the whole process just because my bottom lashes are long and it makes my eyes look very dramatic. And I prefer to use a skinnier brush when doing my bottom lashes so I can really get in there. We're almost done. Now we're going to move into the lips. I am going to be lining my lips with this Rimmel Extravagant Full Color Lip Liner. And this is in the shade 032 Innocent. And it's just kind of like a light, like a very light nude color. And I'm just going to line my lips. So I'm going to start in this corner. Now I have my lip liner on and I'm going to go in with my lip color. This is the Julep Matte Lip Mousse in the color Ooh La La. Now I'm just going to go ahead and go over the same spots that I did with the lip liner. I like that when you go in, it curves to your lip. And you can get the whole lip in like one swipe. I really love this formulation because it looks like a liquid lip on the lip, but it's very creamy, very moussey. It glides on. It's very beautiful. It almost has like a glossy sheen to it. And it's going to last quite some time on the lips. So now we are done with our makeup. Last but not least, I'm going to go ahead and set my face. I'm going to use the NYX Matte Finish Spray because I like a matte face. So we're just going to spray. I think everything's pretty much dry, and now I'm going to go in with my highlighter. This is kind of like a pinky goldish color. I'm not sure where this is from or what this is even called because it doesn't have a name on the back. And then I'm going to go in with this kind of tapered brush, and I'm just going to hit the top of it, and then I'm going to run it on my cheekbones. So now the look is finally complete. It's super easy, super simple. I love this for an everyday makeup look, and I hope you guys like it too. I hope y'all enjoyed my video, and I will see y'all next time. Bye, y'all.